By the way, did you hear that UFC and the WWE
I
is gonna
just seen
be
that. Yeah.
united together? That sounds very convoluted and very confusing, and I don't know if I want any part of it.
Do you watch WWE?
Sometimes I'm like a very, very, very casual viewer. I used to like the WWE a lot as a kid, but
I mean, that's most boys under the age of like 13.
not if you're Puerto Rican. If you're Puerto Rican, you like wrestling until like you're.
Oh, true.
That shit is facts.
Puerto Ricans love wrestling.
You're absolutely right, Renee.
That and like professional boxing. Puerto Ricans love professional boxing
because they got a cousin
WWE.
that probably box. That's why.
More than likely, or somebody from the neighborhood that they knew that trained with somebody's uncle that also trained a famous fighter from back in the day.
Word.
You know, like there's always somebody who knows somebody type of shit.
Yeah, man.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the UFC is making big moves, merging with the WWE, creating. Well, Dana White, that bitch ass motherfucker, creating the power slap or whatever that shit is called.
Oh, that slap league thing.
Yeah.
I love how he basically took some shit that's probably like a hood
Nah,
classic for us, and they
well,
just fucking he just said, "All right, we're gonna make money off this shit."
Well, no, it's because they do it like in Russia. Like there's a league in Russia that's like that, and
that sounds
he just
very Russian,
bro. He just went and remixed it and did it his own. So he's still a bitch, but whatever.
Like it just gets crazy because like, how does nobody capitalize on that until this motherfucker just pulls up and is like, yo, let's make this shit let's Americanize this shit.
I mean,
it just takes money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because there are other mixed martial arts leagues besides the UFC. It's just the UFC is the most popular one. They have the most money. And they can't pay their fighters, so it's insane.
It's more like they're probably hoping to avoid paying the talent, Like most industries that depend on talent to profit, like the music industry. You remember, we used to have a whole podcast about it. Talk about the industry,
Yeah, those episodes are still up.
Interesting.
Yeah, most of those episodes are still up. But yeah, I mean, fuck him. He likes to slap women in public, and nobody cares.
No, let's clarify. Not just woman. His wife.
His wife. Yes, his wife. Backhanded her in public, and nobody cared.
And as upsetting as that information is,
it has nothing.
This is not a Dana White podcast.
Okay. So let's. I know I'm about to intro the anime. Intro the. I'm tired.
Let's do the anime intro.
No.
Go get my running shoes.
Intro the pod. But before I do that, this month is a really big month for anime. A lot of animes are coming back. I know Dr. Stone is coming back this month.
Well, it's spring anime season, that's why.
Yeah, so like a lot. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head.
Dr. Stone's coming back. Demon Slayer's coming back.
Demon Slayer, yeah, it's coming back.
What the fuck? There was a new one that Mappa's doing this season.
Hell's Paradise.
Hell's Paradise just came out. I need to watch
that shit.
The first
Looks
episode.
Amazing.
It's Mappa, dog. Come on.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It's a cheat code.
It looks really good. Yeah, it looks really good. But yeah, so there's a lot of anime that's coming out this month. Y'all should go check it out, and please tell us in the comments any anime you guys want us to talk about, because we will definitely chat about it here.
Yes, let's do that.
Or Shawnee will come and bring that shit out of nowhere, like, watch this.
I'm
on it.
That's a fact. I've been slacking on anime. I can't even lie. I gotta get back up. I've just been watching Humans. I can't do that shit anymore. Anyway,
watching Humans.
Yeah, bro. Like I've been watching Snowfall.
I was about to say, is that what you called like?
That's what I was saying. Is that a show?
Being out in the wild, like.
Wait, there is a show called Humans though, but it was canceled.
I thought that was your way of being like, I don't work from home no more, so now I just watch Humans.
Oh
outside,
my god,
like doing things.
Listen, bro, not working from home has its ups and downs, man. Ups, I get to be outside
Watching
Downs.
humans.
I'm outside, bro.
Shit, I'm
Like,
outside even if I am working from home. Shit.
look at this motherfucker. This nigga don't do nothing. Anyway, let's start the pod. Let's start the pod. All right. You already know what time it is. It's your boy Macky OMO. I'm not gonna give y'all crazy because I came back from Dreamville weekend. I'm exhausted,
Thank
so
you.
you guys are gonna get. I'm gonna give you the energy. I'm just not gonna be as loud. So what the fuck is going on? It's your boy Macky OMO.
I don't know why it can't be like this all the time.
I would actually prefer the other one because I think he watched too much Usher.
Usher Jr.
What's going on? It's your boy Macky OMO. I'm here with my good brothers. We got the Razor Sharp Assassin with the Clipper and Johnny B.
Damn, you gone jammed?
I'm jamming like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Johnny B. And we got Broke Arm Shawnee in the motherfucker.
Bro.
Ain't even broke, nigga.
Sean.
Shut the
Broke.
fuck up.
Nah, that's how Jamaicans nickname people. They be like broke leg boy.
Oh wow, got you. Okay. Fair
Broke
enough.
Arm Shawnee in the motherfucking building. And we are the Paradise Podcast. Welcome to episode 81. Sheesh. What the fuck is this?
That's like he's about to drop the hottest reggae song of the year.
Hold up. Why is it? I guess I gotta loop it. Hold up. So the
Well-
gun don't jam.
While our host works on the drops that are jamming and all that, sound like Funk Master Flex.
Whoa.
Yo, he was dead the first 2 times.
Why are you still shooting?
Bro.
Dog,
Stop shooting.
can you stop being Funk Master Flex right now, please?
Oh my god.
Bro, I'm trying to stop it. Hold up.
He's got the shots on the loop.
While the shots are on the loop, he wants to take.
He
wants
want to
to-
outdo 50 Cent. He said, nah, he only got shot 9 times. We're about to get shot 25 times.
Since he's over here using an unlimited shotgun, I actually beat Resident Evil 4. Put 25 hours in so far, and it's actually really fun. I enjoyed putting all my money into it. Speaking of Capcom, there's 2 weeks until the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy comes out for the Switch, which will be the second game of the year that I am spending $60 on.
Oh, I was about to say game of the year. I was like,
No,
it's
this
it's
my
a collection.
second. No. My second collection, or yes, my second game that I'm paying full price for. But
full price.
I
Gotcha.
literally have Mega Man tattoos. Like that's my game. I played it growing up. That actually segues perfectly into our conversation because that used to be a game that was out on the Game Boy Advance for 6 games. It was Mega Man Battle Network 1 and 2. Then it eventually split off to like a Pokemon Red and Blue style, where 3 was White and Blue, 4 was Red Sun, Blue Moon, 5 was Beast. No, 5 was Team Proto Man, Team Colonel. 6 was Proto Man, and 6 was Beast, Falzer, and Gregor. That being said, those are all Game Boy Advance games. Nintendo basically said, "Yo, we're gonna take all these old school games that everybody loved. Not old school, but we're gonna take these older, put them into a collection."
You can call those old school games.
No,
now, bro.
because when you can't call Battle Network Mega Man specifically.
Nah, the old school Mega Man.
Old school Mega Man,
classic 2D Mega Man.
2D, and they had a collection for that already. Part 2 to 8, they did an X collection.
Those
0.
Mega Man games
They
came
did
out
a
how
0
long ago?
collection.
I know I'm
They
arguing.
were on the
I know
Genesis.
No.
I'm
talking
about
about
the advanced games,
network.
the Battle Network games.
Yes.
Had to have been like what, the early 2000s, right?
So that's over
2000.
15 years ago. That's
Yes.
old school, bro.
Nah,
Those
in our
Yes, it's
in
old
today's
school.
old school's old school,
Yes.
but we have a different definition of old school. So I get
No, we don't.
It's
No,
not
when you're
old
talking-
school.
when you're talking,
I understand.
Mega Man,
I understand you're talking about like how it looks versus.
No,
No.
we're saying
What?
that Mega Man Battle Network is literally a reiteration of Mega
It's like a
Man, which is
refresh.
truly
Yeah.
old school.
Like they took like Mega Man characters and then just made a totally different Mega Man universe out of them.
I know. I watched the anime.
Oh my god.
Or was it an anime?
It
I
was an
watched.
It
anime.
was
Okay, I watched the anime on Channel 11 every
MC Warrior.
Saturday at fucking 11 or
Okay.
12 o'clock in the
And
morning
what we're
or
trying to tell
afternoon.
you is there's an older anime that Mega Man fucking revamped itself over.
All right, we're doing semantics. Go ahead.
Mega Man's old,
Mega
is
Man's
what
old. That's what
Shawnee's
we're trying
trying
to
to
tell you.
say.
Anyway, trying to get to the
And
point
so
at
are we.
hand, they basically had a Game Boy Advance game. They took all 10 games and revamped them to collection. The next one in the series was they're probably gonna do a Star Force, which was for the 3DS, which leads into the conversation at hand. The 3DS shop and the Wii U shop are officially closed at the time of this recording. Um, me
That is true.
personally, I don't know what that means, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And I personally am the type of person where I can go and get my information, read it online, and maybe not digest it well. But if somebody I know personally that has more information on it that can actually break it down so I can understand the shit and really get into the conversation, it's just more fun that way. So
Word.
this would be our one of our expert series where we have our resident Nintendo fan John, who can give us a little bit more information on what's the one on that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers would prefer more bite-sized version of the situation that we
Of
could go
like
off.
a deep dive. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Before that, make sure you go check out that video that John did about fixing his what was it,
My
3DS?
3DS XL. So I have a video that we've posted a while back where the Wi-Fi card that was inside this 3DS wasn't working anymore, and I pulled it apart and replaced it, and just talked a little bit about the 3DS in general. So you could watch that video if you just want a little bit more 3DS magic.
Yeah,
We
he
got you
fixed the
covered there.
3D. He fixed the Wi-Fi so that he can go on the Nintendo Store and download games
Yes,
before
which I
whenever they
did.
did,
I
whenever they
downloaded
took it away.
I downloaded one game, but yes, it was something that I did want to do. So I personally did not buy a Wii U. So I don't have the same experience with the Wii U that some other gamers may have. The Wii U was really unique in terms of the games that it offered in its eShop, in its online store where you can purchase games. Nintendo for a while would offer not only their current games digitally for purchase and download, but they would offer older Nintendo titles via what they called the Virtual Console. And they had a lot of unique situations with the Wii U that you couldn't get in other places. Like because the Wii U had the gamepad as its controller, they actually offered some original DS games on the Wii U eShop that you could play on your Wii U, where the top screen of the DS would be your TV and the bottom screen of the DS would be the gamepad, which also has a touchpad, so it functions exactly the same. So they were able to basically emulate DS games using the Wii U.
Because of the dual screen,
Because
it
of
was
the
touch
dual
screen.
screen, and it was
Can we,
touchscreen on the bottom.
just a quick sidebar. The Wii, I feel like for me personally, the only reason I bought the Wii U is because was it Brawl was the one that released on the Wii U?
No, it was called Smash for Wii U because it was Smash 4 and they did two versions of it. Smash for 3DS and Smash for Wii U.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that was the only reason I have this. I have the 3DS version.
I literally decided that I was going to only buy the 3DS version. So I have the 3DS version here because I don't have a Wii U.
Let me just say that was for a 3DS version. That Smash was
Really
pretty
good.
good. It
Really
was
good
really
for a
good.
Smash Brothers
And
game
you got
on
all
a
the
handheld.
characters.
Yes, they didn't really skimp out on it. Yeah, like the graphics aren't as nice as what you would get on a home console, but
Well,
it still looks
for the
really
3DS,
fucking
it
good.
worked out very well.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. But like Nintendo's really good at taking older games from their back catalog and reselling them to you, right? So like if you missed a game on the Nintendo 64, for example, you could play Ocarina of Time on your 3DS.
Yes.
You could play Star Fox 64
Yes.
on the 3DS with 3D capabilities. I played the first one on the GameCube, and I wanted to play the sequel, and I got Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon here also. So you could go back and you could play some of those older games with the 3DS. Was probably more popular for its Pokemon lineup, right? So I've got Pokemon Sun here, Alpha Sapphire.
Wasn't X and Y on
Pokemon
there
X,
as well?
X and Y. Yep, Gen 6. This was the first one that they did on the 3DS.
Kalos region was so good because it was like the perfect blend of
It was
old.
too short.
Yes, I will say
good,
that.
But it was too short.
For anybody who doesn't know, when you beat the Pokemon X or Y, literally the end game was you work with a detective to figure some shit mystery out, and that was it. But it was just good because Kalos didn't really. Kalos, yes, was a new region, but they never gave you so much new Pokemon that it was overwhelming. And they kept a lot of older Pokemon from Kanto and the other regions, where Kalos just like nice little like. I loved X and Y because just like it was easy to walk into and not feel overwhelmed.
I think that was X and Y is when they introduced the Mega Evolutions.
Yes,
and then
yes, it was.
And then they carried that mechanic into Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby.
Yep, because you get the Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre.
Yeah, so, and a lot of Pokemon fans like the Mega Evolution stuff. But the 3DS eShop was used for a lot of things like Game Boy games and things like that. Also, like they did put the older Pokemon games in the 3DS eShop, which I downloaded Pokemon Silver onto my 3DS because Pokemon Silver was like the first Pokemon game that I personally like owned because I played Pokemon before Silver came out, but I never owned one until Gold and Silver. So and I physically own a gold cartridge and a crystal cartridge, but I no longer have my original Silver cartridge. So I wanted to have Silver at least there on the 3DS officially. So I own all three versions of Gen 2 in some way, shape, or form. And the 3DS eShop allowed me to be able to do that. So the eShop being closed means a couple of different things. So it means that you don't have access to a lot of that content, right? So even though it really shouldn't be hard to find Mario Maker for the 3DS, right? Because you can't purchase these games digitally anymore, if everyone decided they wanted to charge more money for these physical versions of these games because now you can't download them anymore, that automatically dictates that the price of the physical game would go higher. So people can price gouge on retro games because you can't play them anywhere else. Like you wouldn't have the same experience with like an Xbox 360 game because most Xbox 360 games are available to download still in the Microsoft Store. It's not the entire 360 library, but it's a pretty decent chunk of stuff that is still accessible. So companies like Microsoft make those things accessible.
And
Nintendo,
then, sorry to jump in.
No,
and not to mention the fact that the Series X is backwards compatible, so you can pretty much put any Xbox game in there and it'll automatically emulate to allow you to play it.
As long as it's a part of their list. So they don't have it for everything. They have a list of what is backwards compatible because
and then they keep adding to the list.
Keep adding to the list, but a lot of the reason why it's a list is because of licensing. They may not still have access to all of the original licenses for most of those games from back then. There's a lot of movie tie-in stuff, a lot of TV show tie-in stuff, a lot of things where licenses get thrown all over the place and people buy the rights from each other all the time.
So let's make a note of that. This is how you know our host is tired, because this is a perfect opportunity for him to shit on Sony, and he did not take it at all.
And he did not take that shot.
I think this is the most. I think this might be the most quiet pod we've ever had where he has not interrupted 10 minutes of the conversation.
It's been fantastic.
It's amazing. You see what can happen when you actually put the effort in?
Oh my
Or
god!
lack of.
All right, now I'm gonna start.
You're okay. You're okay.
Fuck Sony.
Worry.
Fuck Sony. You feel me? Fuck Sony as a motherfucking clan and as a motherfucking crew. And if you fuck with Sony, fuck you too. Spider-Man. It's like, nah, no, you can't fuck Spider-Man.
Don't. You better stop right there, motherfucker. Spider-Man on the PC and niggas losing their shit.
I was about to say chill because I just started picking up comics again.
Word.
And I'm reading my boy.
Actually,
don't disrespect.
Let's keep on the topic. Let's keep on the topic.
But yes. Let me cut you off. Just because you brought that shit up. Miles Morales, the voice actor, is charging like $80 for autographs right now. He was at I think some of my friends were at MegaCon this weekend, and they were telling me like, yo, for like the voice actor for the PS4, PS5 game, my man charging $80, dog. And in my personal opinion, I'm like, yeah, the game is great, and you're the voice actor for it, but you charging mad bread for just being Miles on a game, dog. Yeah. Freaking Deku from My Hero got 6 seasons on you, and that nigga's still not even charging $50. Like, and even Chris Sabat might charge you 80, and that's more justified than
because that's Chris Sabat. That's
okay, but that's my point.
Apples to oranges. Everybody's entitled to feel like they're worth. And I'm
entitled to be like,
whatever they're worth. Exactly. You could choose to get online, or you could choose to walk right by.
He's not going to be that high, but I'm sorry. Back to our conversation about.
So the eShops for the Wii U and the 3DS are officially closed. Recently, there was one video in particular, and I know that we don't normally talk about other YouTube channels, but this is important to the conversation, which is the only reason.
Don't say that YouTube channel's name.
No, this is important because it made the news, and there's just a lot of information there that I'm not going to give here. So if you would like more information on that person's experience, Gerard the Completionist
I bleeped his name out, by the way.
Anyway, you'll be
you don't specify when you do it, fool. Just do it.
But anyway, the Completionist had put out a video where he and his company had spent over $23,000 to purchase every digital download.
Yes, I saw the thumbnail
from both
for that.
the Wii U and the 3DS eShop, including all of the DLC. And basically what him and his company did was they donated the actual 3DS and Wii U that they did all of these downloads for and all of the hard drives they put them on to an organization that is geared towards video game preservation for like historical purposes and stuff like that. It's a really long video, but it's about their process of actually trying to purchase all of that shit and download it. Crazy experience. It's interesting to watch. I recommend watching it if you're interested in stuff like that. It's more like a little mini documentary. But it's just something where nowadays in the space that we're in, most people would say there's no reason to purchase games like that, especially these digital games, when there's emulation. If Nintendo doesn't want to offer these games to us anymore, they don't want to sell them to us, then it shouldn't be immoral to find other ways to play the games that those companies don't want to sell to you anymore. So that's like the argument for some people.
Okay, so let's have that
emulation, right?
Let's have, and I know you're going on your what is it called?
You on your shit?
John, yeah, you on your John Morant, no Grizzly shit right now, but
what a reference with everything going on. But continue.
That's why I
well, he's seeking therapy, so Anyway, that's an inside joke. Yeah, I didn't get that. Anyway, but let's have that argument now. How do we feel about emulation? Well, I, for one,
wait, before you do that, I'm pulling you right now. Before you do that, I wanted to reference another point that he mentioned because that leads into the emulation talk.
Go ahead.
John also mentioned earlier that the fact that the 3DS games, well, we're specifically talking about 3DS because Wii U is, it wasn't as popular, realistically speaking.
Well, we have experience with the 3DS.
Yes, so we have experience from it. He mentioned that because the games are no longer available on the eShop, that means people who have physical copies of it can now mark up the prices. So I guess the question is that will lead into emulation is, how do you guys feel about that? Because for me, I still have my Pokemon X. I still have all of my Mega Man, Star Forces, and I have a whole bunch of other 3DS games. I think Project Cross some bullshit. I forgot what it is. It was Capcom and Tekken, Namco. But anyway, I guess the question is, how do you feel about it? Because for me personally, I always just I've always been an advocate for physical titles. Like even if Game Pass has it for free, if I can get that shit for $20 just to physically have it in
just
hand,
to have it,
I just want to have it. So my question is, how do you guys feel about that? Or does that bother you? How do you feel about the fact that like what you have now for those games could essentially go up in value, or does it not matter to you?
I think that's just the way of the market. When there is not that much of something available, those who have, they can price it however they want to price it if they're looking to sell those games. That's just the way of the market, whether it be video games or anything else. So I mean, I am anti capitalism. So I believe that, especially it's like video games, bro. Video games bring a lot of people together, relieve stress. Like I shouldn't have to spend, especially for like people who may not have it like we do. They shouldn't have to spend like $70, $80 on a game that came out 20, 30, or not, maybe not 20, 30, but 15
no,
years ago.
sometimes, yeah,
But sometimes,
sometimes
yeah, like
20, 30 years ago.
I don't think, and I get it because of the rarity of that particular game. I understand. You're not going to be able to find it anywhere else, blah blah blah. But
Yeah, it's
I
so high
don't.
in demand.
Yeah, I don't think
You just don't
that.
agree that it should
Nah,
be that abusive to
no,
somebody that
because it's
wants to
especially,
experience something.
yeah, because it's like I said, man, video games bring people together. Whether you guys are arguing or whether you guys are having a blast together, you guys are like feeling emotions, and that's something that video games does. So if you got to emulate that, trust me, bro. And when I was at NJCU, we emulated.
Wasn't it Smash? You
It
guys were
was.
playing Smash
I'm glad
in
you
the
remember.
dorms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were playing a brawl, Smash Brawl on our
Hello, Cat.
Mac.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Renji? On our MacBook, and we had put our like PlayStation controllers, hooked it up through Bluetooth, and we had tournaments for days, for months, and that was a blast. Like that's one part of college that I'll never forget. So I'm not for that kind of. Oh, look at the ass. I'm not. I'm not for
It's got to happen at
that.
least once an episode.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while, so give
It's
him
got to
credit.
happen at least
Yeah.
once an episode. Renji just has to let everybody know what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's got to show his ass. But yeah, I'm not for that particular. I don't. I believe in the right to play video games.
So like, like I went out of my way and I spent a lot of money to have, devices like an analog pocket to be able to play the original Game Boy cartridges that I have in my collection. Because I do still have the original Game Boys and stuff, but that they're so hard to look at that you really can't play a game
There's
and
no
enjoy it,
backlight.
right?
It's
Yeah, like
fucking
on the
trash.
original Game Boy Color, like, and unless I mod it, I don't really feel like going back, excuse me, and playing on an original, damn, excuse me, and playing on an original Game Boy. So there have been situations where I have found myself in possession of emulated software just to try out some of the Game Boy games that I've never gotten a chance to play. And sometimes when I look at games, and I've only ever done this with Game Boy games, I haven't done this with like other games from other systems, but when it comes to some of these Game Boy games, they're ridiculously expensive in the aftermarket for
Yes.
whatever particular reason. Some of them over $100
It's not
for
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 whatever particular reason. We know the reason.
I mean, yeah, because it's a popular game. Maybe they didn't print that many of it. It's probably, a little hard to find or come by or anything like that. And I get it. But, they're just really expensive for somebody that either wants to play it once or wants to just check it out and see if they even like the game. And you can't expect someone to purchase a resale copy for, an increased amount of money and then like that
Never
just be
played that
normal
shit.
or never play it or at least or not even like it. Like there could be so many different things wrong with that. But like I believe that companies should make older things accessible, especially video game companies, right? Like Microsoft is doing a really great job at showing us you can do
Fuck
it,
Sony.
and Nintendo is
You're saying
doing
fuck
things.
Nintendo.
Nintendo's doing things a little different, right? I mean, even when we're looking at the differences in cartridges, right? Let me see if I can get actual examples here. I can use Pokemon as an example usually, right?
For those who can't see what's going on and just listening, John literally has like a portfolio full of his cartridges ready to go.
Yes,
That's
I do.
why when we talk about the expert series, this is the man for the job. You talk Nintendo, John's your man.
So like if let's say, because this would have been great if I had like my Smash cartridge for the Switch here, but it's in my shelf. But I have a cartridge, right? This little teeny tiny cartridge for Pokemon Scarlet, and then I also have a cartridge here for Super
Three
Smash
Smash
Brothers
3DS.
for the 3DS. So for the most part, and I hope I'm not wrong about this one in particular, but most of these 3DS games are entirely on the cartridge. You put the game in and you're able to play your game on them.
Because that
Switch
was
cartridges, what?
no, I was just gonna say because that was before like you had to like download the game
The
from the
games.
internet.
Yes, because since the 3DS had a lower quality
Yeah,
of graphic fidelity and frame rate and all that other stuff, the games were smaller. They didn't have to be that large. Nintendo's also good at compressing game files to make it just easier for it to be on something like this. But these cartridges for the Switch usually only contain a small amount of the game's data, or the beginning portion of a game or something like that. Or if it's a collection, it probably only has one game on the cartridge, and the rest of said game is stuff that has to be downloaded to your console. So if you don't have all of this information already downloaded onto your console, when digital storefronts disappear, they become they, be, they become easier. They become harder to find. That distracted the hell out of me.
Word.
They become,
If
they-
for those wondering, Crispinus might be coming onto the episode, and he told
he's
us to fix
texting
it.
in our
He's
group
texting
chat.
in our
It's
in
funny,
the chat. It was just
yeah. He just got to fix his camera. His camera, he's like
but
mad close up. That's his issue.
but Nintendo has switched, right. So back in the day on 3DS, you used to be able to purchase an older
ooh, is that
game.
an XL?
This is an 3DS XL.
You
So you
bugging?
used to be able to purchase.
Now you about to make Shawnee bust. This
You
nigga,
used to be able
So
to
ooh.
sexy, man.
purchase an older game via the virtual console. The Nintendo Switch does not have a virtual console. The Nintendo
Mm.
Switch has a subscription based model.
Gang.
Chris being in the building,
No,
coming in late.
no eating on camera, sir. Oh, that's a hard hoodie though.
That
Shout out
nigga
to my nigga
switched up his
Boji. Shout out to my nigga Boji. Oh, for
So,
those
so
who can't see, we can't hear you, Crispin. By the way, you're on mute.
word.
Chris
For
Bean
those who
is
can't see,
pro.
Crispin just entered the building, aka the Hukage, aka the Black Kage, all that. You know what I mean?
I just
Um,
found out that there's
We
like
good?
a
We good? I'm in.
content creator that
Yes,
calls
sir.
himself the
Y'all hear me?
nah, but Crispin's the true Black Kage.
100%. Y'all hear me
Got
now?
you.
We
Yes, we
good?
can
We
hear
good?
you.
He's
All
straight.
Yes,
right.
we
What's
can
up,
hear
guy? How
you.
you doing? I'm sorry.
Hello,
Work
welcome.
had me a little, know
It's okay.
what I mean?
The product need to be sold. We get it.
Fuck that.
So we're almost done with our conversation. We're telling the audience about the 3DS eShop closing down,
Mm.
and people that have 3DSs will not be able to download any new games to their 3DS. So whatever you got on it now,
That's
that's
what you
what you
got.
got. Yep,
So
that's what you
we're
got.
basically just like not really, but we were talking about uh do we have an issue with like emulation versus having the actual physical game?
So like
Um
if a company no longer sells said game, you
Mm.
can't buy it no more,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like let's say it was a game that was only available on their
eShop.
eShop, right? Now that the eShop is closed and that developer never put that game anywhere else or couldn't put it anywhere else, it's gone. If you bought it, you bought it. But if you never bought it, you're never going to be able to play it. In those situations, do you think that it's fair for you as a consumer to go ahead and emulate the game because emulation has this aura over it, as it being
Nah,
a
put that
negative
ROM up.
thing
Put the
because
ROM up.
it's
You don't get
technically
that shit.
stealing, right? Because you have something that you didn't pay for.
I'm not stealing no more. You're not selling that anymore. Put the ROM up. Put it up.
Let's give a round of applause for some Renji ass. That's twice an episode. Yay.
Twice an episode. Is it 3 times is a treat?
Oh
let's
man.
Let's see if he comes back for the third go around.
If it's me, bro, I'll just put the ROM up. Fuck it. Whoever wants to play it at this point, you can't buy it no more. I bought it. So if you can't buy it no more, here you go, guys. Play.
Right. I mean, and that's admirable. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would appreciate you for doing something like that.
Yeah, because it's more of like a morality thing. So I don't know why I couldn't say that word.
But what I want to quickly explain is the transition, right? So if you wanted to buy an NES game, right? So like the original like Mario on the NES, the original Super Mario Bros. Let's say you bought it for your 3DS and you wanted to play it on your 3DS, or you bought it for your Wii U. Right, and you were playing it on the Wii U because I don't know if it was available on the 3DS. I know it was available on the Wii U. So let's say you bought it digitally so that you could play it. And when you bought it digitally, it was $2.99 or $3.99 or something like that. You paid some small little insignificant fee so you could own the game digitally forever, right? You could do that with a device like this. Now that we have transitioned into the Nintendo Switch era, the Switch does not allow you to do that. There is no virtual console on the Nintendo Switch. Let me finish.
I'm finished.
It's called the Expert Series for a reason.
Nintendo has switched to a subscription-based service whereby paying for the Nintendo Online service, they package in emulators that you are allowed to download to your Switch to play NES, SNES, which are Super Nintendo games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and N64 games, and Sega Genesis games that are on there. So they because you pay for this monthly subscription or annually, if you pay for it annually, you have access to those games. But let's say you cancel your subscription, you no longer have access to those games. And you have spent more than what those games would be worth in a digital storefront over a year's worth of having your subscription. So doing this subscription-based model on the Switch is like printing money for Nintendo because it doesn't cost them anything to be able to provide these older games to Switch owners. But they don't allow you to purchase these games individually. You want to play these games on the newest hardware that you can also put on your TV, that you can take with you on the go wherever you want. You got to pay the monthly subscription. You have access to it. So we are losing out. The 3DS and Wii U eShop closings are basically allowing us opportunities. Like we're missing out now on opportunities to buy some of these games that now you can't buy anymore. They're not available, and some of them were never available physically. And if they are available physically and they're hard to come by, they're going to be more expensive.
Extra expensive, yeah.
And now that you can't download anything on your 3DS, any physical copy is subject to becoming expensive.
Truth.
So if the video game industry wants to, not the video game industry, the aftermarket wants to react to something like this, we'll see it. We'll see game prices go up like crazy. We'll see people going nuts because you can't download anything on a 3DS anymore. There are some people that have ambassador 3DS systems where if you were one of the first people to buy the 3DS when it was almost $300 when they put it on the market in the beginning and they couldn't sell enough of them because it was too expensive for a handheld, so they had to reduce the price. They gave all of those original 3DS owners digital download codes for like a whole bunch of free shit. They had like a lot of older games that were just for free. because you were a 3DS ambassador. So there are some of those systems that are floating around in the eBay and the aftermarket scene that are probably worth a lot more money now.
Tracks.
Now that the eShop is completely closed. So I don't know if the 3DS eShop closing affects any of you guys, right? Like, because I seem to be the only one that actually still has his 3DS handy. You know, like, how do you guys feel about like this new trend? If the store closes and you don't have access to stuff, what does that do to us as consumers?
So
go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
No, so I was gonna whichever.
No, go, Johnny, go.
No, so what I was gonna ask is, before I answer the question is, so because the eShop is closed for the 3DS and the Wii U, does that eliminate the possibility of it reopening of selling those games to the Switch itself and having it where you emulate it, or the emulator is not currently out for those on the Switch yet?
So what we've noticed is that with the Switch and the Wii U specifically, they have ported almost every exclusive Wii U title to the Switch. There's only like less than 5 titles that are still exclusive to the Wii U. Like Zombie U, for example, is like a game you can only play on the Wii U. Like they're just because of the way the control scheme is set up and everything like that. Like they're not going to put it on the Switch. So most of that stuff is available on the Switch now, like Pokken Tournament, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Mario Kart 8, Breath of the Wild, all of the Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, all of these games that were Wii U titles. They've taken all of those titles and just dumped them on the Switch, because since nobody bought a Wii U and everyone bought a Switch, a lot of those games are selling now on the Switch. Mario Kart 8 is a Wii U game, and it is the best-selling Switch title.
They ain't make a 9.
And that shit is still regular price.
I'm not mad at it.
They're still releasing DLC for it, too.
Word, they put out a whole DLC pack with like 4 different seasons of that shit.
We have no idea when a new Mario Kart is even going to show up, because this one has been so damn successful. It lasted 2 console generations.
Yeah.
So like, I don't see Nintendo making 3DS games accessible, for the simple fact that you need this setup. You need to have 2 screens, a touch screen. You need to have everything set up in a way where you're going to be able to play this game on whatever hardware they got. Could you emulate it? Yeah, you could emulate 3DS games on your computer and just use your mouse, for the touch screen, or use the keys to press like regular buttons, or just hook up a controller to it and just use the mouse for the touchscreen portion. Like that's like that. You can play them. They might be a little pain in the ass to play on a computer because you don't have the touchscreen. You could probably emulate it on a cell phone if you could find a good emulating software for 3DS games, maybe a tablet or something like that has a touchscreen on it. You could just use the touchscreen to play. But no, I don't see Nintendo making 3DS software available. And if it's Wii U software, they've already made money off of reselling the exact same game in some situations for more money on the Switch. Like when Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze first came out on the Wii U, it was a $50 game. And when they ported it to the Switch, it was a $60 game.
Yo, Nintendo's gonna Nintendo.
That niggas is wailing, bro.
That's what I'm saying. You can't really be mad at them.
I hope that answers your question.
No, it did. For me personally, I've always been an advocate for physical games. I will always try to get my games physical if I can. I do understand the flexibility of having a digital, like even when I bought a digital game only because the shit was like $20 for the whole thing, including DLC.
Like
dirt you
cheap
can't
sales. You can't.
Yeah, when there's a sale, you can't pass it up. But I'm still gonna physically get the game. But it is something that you did mention, to the fact that once they take the digital game off, because now with the current games, you could have the physical disc and shit, but you still got to download the digital version to play the game. you know, you got to download something to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
Jump Force was a perfect example where they took that shit off the marketplace and you can only get it physically now. Now the question becomes is if you get the physical games in the future, but it's literally just a physical piece to allow you to download the other majority of the game from the network, then we as consumers are basically restricted to the digital aspect of it. And they decide to remove that portion of the game, then you can't even download the games anymore. So the only thing physical is just literally physical, but you theoretically couldn't even sell it future wise.
You would need to, it would be a situation where like you would need hard drives. You would need to make sure that before your console generation is over, you've downloaded all of your digital content
and
to either the console or put it on a hard drive or an SSD of some kind, depending on what system you're playing.
And then you had to, like, if you're selling it, you have to sell it with that SSD.
And that's the thing too. So even with that, the physical,
you can sell that SSD by itself. I have a whole bunch of games in this thing.
Yeah, so then technically speaking, then literally your physical game is just a physical husk to help to host the digital port. It's a key to unlock the digital download.
That's the thing too, is like now with newer systems, right? They have like verification processes.
Oh Lord.
So like if I want to play, I booted up, I downloaded Pirate Warriors 3 for my Switch. And the deluxe edition was like $3. So I downloaded this deluxe edition to Pirate Warriors, and before I could play it, I was trying to play it in my car outside of the barbershop, and it wouldn't let me play it because even though it's a digital game that I purchased and fully downloaded to my console, it needed to connect to the Wi-Fi to verify that I own the fucking software.
Wow,
that's some bullshit.
Okay, so with all of that being said,
that just sound like some bullshit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm all for emulation. I think it was a while ago they had I remember it was for the 3DS. It was for one of the systems, but you basically got a cartridge that had like an SSD card built into it, and you could download the ROMs into the cartridge and put it into your system.
Put that into the EverDrives.
The EverDrives, and you could just play it off of that, bro. With all this shit.
They make Game Boy EverDrives, DS, and 3DS EverDrives.
See, with something like that, I would honestly, I feel like in today's day and age, because remember, emulation's been out for years. Like I was playing the Pokemons on the Visual Boy Advance, you know, and so many games on it. Game Shark it was a whole bunch of shit you could do with it. Yeah. So if it wasn't
play it on your phone,
I was playing on my phone. I was playing on my Androids.
Yeah, if not for Visual Boy Advance, there would have been so many Game Boy Advance games that I could not play. I played Legacy of Goku on, you know, my mom wasn't buying me games like that. So that was a nice way to be able to play these games and experience them. So given everything that's been spoken so far, I feel like how can you not champion emulation, you know?
Because here's how I look at it too, right? Like you brought up the Legacy of Goku as a good example, right? So you wouldn't have had a chance to buy the game and play it like that. Some people did go out and buy the game, right? So you buy that game the first time. The first person that bought that game, the developers or the company that manufactured the game, they made money off of that sale. The next time that cartridge changes hands, that developer is not making money anymore. That person who sold it to the next person is making money. And then that person who sold it to the next person is making money. And so on and so forth. That money never gets cycled back into the hands of the developers who made the game. Once they sold the game once, that was it. So now we're in a different situation where for at least like indie games or like digital only games, that's where the morality might be a little different. Where it's like, okay, if these are games that these developers are currently offering to us, even if it's like just on Steam, right? Like these are games that like people did make themselves and put out there to sell. And if you can purchase it, the idea is that you should, if you can purchase it. But if it's not available to you because the Legacy of Goku came out once on the Game Boy Advance and they sold all the copies they ever made of this game, whether you bought it used from someone else or you downloaded that game, it doesn't necessarily affect the pockets of the developers of that game.
I think, and while I agree with everything you've said, John, I still think that emulation is the way. I don't think that if they are offering this game for us as a re-release, like for instance, we were talking about in the beginning, the Mega Man NT Warrior, right? That game came out 15 years ago? Probably at like $49.99. They're gonna sell that.
No, there was
If it
Game Boy
was
Advance games
Game Boy
like
Advance games
30.
were like 30. Yeah.
Okay, that's regular price though.
Yes,
Yeah, that
at
was
the
full
time.
price. Was like $30
So it's gonna come out in a couple of weeks at $60
for 10 of
Yes,
them.
but it's 10. The $60. So basically, you're getting $300 worth of games for $60.
And it's remastered and it's engineered to be played online.
Yes,
This is
I'm-
the
I'm-
2D Mega Man, the one that.
no.
Yeah, this is from the
Is
Game
it?
Boy
Yeah,
Advance,
yeah,
the
the Battle
the
Network.
Battle Network series.
So
Alright.
It's
So-
like, oh shit. You got a lot of games to play. Don't you dare buy anymore.
No, I'm not buying them.
I still
broke.
don't think that a game that came out, and again, yes, it's like 10 games. That's amazing. I'm still on the side of emulation because, again, somebody may not have $300, $400. Well, a Switch is what, like $299 now? $300 to buy a Switch. They may not have $200 to buy a Switch Lite, but they have a computer or they have a
And
tablet.
then they can buy it on Steam because it's also up for Steam and PS4.
You know how much Steam is?
I don't.
Like
Steam.
you can
like,
do
you have-
Steam on the computer. True.
Yes. I mean,
That's
yeah.
very true. But still, they may not even have the money to buy the game. That's my main point.
I also see
I hear because again, there are a lot of people who play video games that may not be as well off as we are, that will have because again, while we talk about video games like this shit is a way of life for us, it's really a luxury. Like a lot of us have video games because we have older people in our lives that put us on, parents that bought us video games so that we would be busy and we wouldn't be outside or getting in trouble and shit like that. So while I understand where you're coming from, there are other people in this world that may only have one computer for the whole family. And that may be their means of entertainment, or a tablet. And that may be a $50, $60, $70 tablet that was used.
Come to my store. I got you with a free tab. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta get a line. Also, you gotta buy a house, put a down payment on a house.
Oh,
I know
man.
how T-Mobile work.
They don't want you to buy a whole
Stop
house.
playing.
You gotta buy a house.
Buying a house.
Yeah.
Look, I feel like the biggest perpetrator of like emulation tend to be younger people, right? Like kids and teenagers
they can't
and stuff,
buy the game
because they don't have money, right? I get that.
Or broke college students.
Broke college students. You're not a college
You're not a
student
college
anymore.
student, bro. You're a whole college.
I'm not. I didn't graduate.
Oh, you didn't graduate yet?
No.
You're a college dropout then. What are you talking about, college student? You're not a student.
I'm still a student.
Not a student, bro.
I'm still a student.
You're a full time.
I go
employee.
to SN Southern New Hampshire University.
Damn.
I still go to school. Yeah,
Nigga lying.
bro. I get Apple Music for like $5.99. How you think I got that
Apple
shit?
Music is $5.99.
No, it's not. It's $10.
I was about to say that shit definitely not that cheap.
That is Apple TV. That's
Oh,
$5.99.
shit.
Apple is
Man.
dumb. They charge you tax.
$15.99.
So a lot of
Nah,
people.
nah.
So there's a lot of conversation right now about like games to play on the 3DS and stuff, and I could sit here and talk about things that I enjoyed playing on the 3DS, but like it's been done over and over again by everyone else on YouTube. But what my perspective on the whole thing is that it is very interesting to see how we've changed, how we've transitioned, how Nintendo used to treat its handheld market, and now how it's treating it with the Switch. We have to expect a little bit of change, right? When they combined the home console and the portable console together and really fused those two demographics and had to come up with some type of purchasing system for how we consume their content and their older stuff, their legacy content. I'll say it. like I pay for the online service, and I don't really touch the emulators too much.
Me neither. I don't.
I go in there once in a while. I do
Once
want
in
to
a
play
blue.
certain things. Like the last thing I did was I beat like Kirby's Dream Land on the original Game Boy emulator that they had, and that was like the last game I sat there and like played from start to finish on one of those emulators. So it's not like I'm rushing to go back and play some of those really old games because I have so much new stuff that I haven't really touched on yet. But it would be nice if the games were available to purchase. Like if I know there's a game that I really want to play, there's no reason why Nintendo can't sell it to me, especially if it's a game that Nintendo made or a game that Nintendo owns the license to. There's no reason why it shouldn't be available for us to just purchase that one game. But it makes more money for them to do subscriptions. We're in the era now where all of the money is in subscriptions.
Subscriptions,
right?
Yeah.
That's what people
Thank you,
want.
Netflix. Thank you.
That's what companies want. That's what companies want in order to keep the revenue coming in, keep the consumers constantly paying for something, even if it's a small subscription fee. If they're constantly paying, it's more money over a long period of time than a one-time purchase. And I understand that. But it is a little sad to see that the 3DS is now going to be the way that it is forever. And physical game cartridges are probably going to start going up in the 3DS market. So, like who knows? Like, random shit like this Dragon Ball Z game might become ridiculously hard to find. Who the fuck knows?
I think all of them will.
For whatever reason, certain games become hard to find and they're just expensive. Like I don't know why some of these things are hard to find, but they're hard to find.
It's damn near impossible. I mean, wait, did they do? And I know we did Budokai last week, but did they do Budokai 2 for PS3? Or was that just for PS2?
The remaster, it was only for PS2. So the
they did a Budokai collection.
The HD collection was but that was only 1 and 3.
Oh wow!
And I have that one, so I know that. I was just asking if they did 2. Okay.
So it's stuck on the PS2.
And that shit never.
And the GameCube, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe Sony sucks, Xbox. Man. I don't remember if it was on the original
Sony
Xbox.
Sucks.
Well, Sony's really bad at giving us their legacy content. Like everybody that's subscribed,
but
to
they want to go ahead and
PS
stop Microsoft from buying Activision, man.
Anyway, that one is a little different. Though.
No, it's not. Anyway,
I can because that you're basically limiting Call of Duty players essentially. You could.
They've already. This is a conversation for another podcast.
Well, yes, it is another conversation. But Microsoft has been very vocal about how they want to make Call of Duty accessible to more people.
Exactly.
They want more money from it. They want to turn it into like Minecraft. You know how like you play Minecraft on anything with a fucking screen?
Exactly.
They want Call of Duty to be exactly the same.
They want that shit to be like Fortnite, bro.
They want it to be anywhere you could possibly even think about playing a game. They want you to be able to play fucking Call of Duty on it. Sony wants more exclusivity because they pay for like, if you pre-order on PlayStation, you get this extra map or you get this extra mission or you get this extra skin or
even the Hogwarts game, bro. If you pre-ordered on PlayStation, you got something that people who have Xbox or any other console, Xbox or PC, we're not allowed to get that shit for like another year. I forgot. I mean,
that's the nature of now with the competition of limited time exclusivity. Where like even Final Fantasy, the same thing. Final Fantasy was exclusive to Sony, and then a year later they released it for the Xbox.
But now legislation is happening. Like so now governments are getting involved because Sony's made such a big deal over Microsoft's company acquisitions that like now governments are starting to realize, hey, some of these companies have been doing really shady, borderline illegal things.
It's Sony that been doing that
to have advantages in the market. Like there are certain laws and regulations in place to keep certain companies from being able to do certain things. And Sony's been getting away with a lot of stuff for
So for the longest
we'll
time.
See if they continue to get away with it.
Shout out to Bill Joe.
We don't really know. But that's
that's my song.
But that's like Macky said, that's a conversation for another
I will
Word.
write that in the
podcast.
chat.
Word. Another convo.
But
Fuck the
that's
Monopoly shit, niggas. What are you talking about?
that's really it. In my 3DS, I'm gonna continue working on my copy of Senran Kagura. Right, I dropped
Don't
it.
break it because you'll be fucked.
I'm gonna
It's
be
over.
so
You gotta
mad
find
if
that
I
shit for
break
$100.
Word, don't break that shit.
Okay, there we go. Less glare. No, this game before they reprinted it, was selling for over $100. I'm not beat. I have no idea
You
why.
better take care of that.
So I'm gonna be playing that. I also have Pokemon Silver on here that I downloaded that I'll be playing that. Well, I did start it. And then I have all those other games that I
saw
showed you
that
guys earlier.
I got a Pokemon game.
I don't know why I looked this up, but I looked up Legacy of Goku and it's selling for like $28 right now, but like on eBay and shit. But if you buy like they have like they have a Legend of Goku 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and two of them together on DK Oldies is like $80.
DK Oldies is also getting a lot of negative attention on YouTube right now.
I mentioned them for a reason. Y'all niggas price gouging. Fuck y'all niggas.
DK Oldies is also now
What is
guilty of they're an online video game retailer that sell retro video games and consoles and stuff. They will post something, not give you a picture of the item, just give you like a stock photo of the item, and you won't know what it looks like or if it plays until you get it. And they have lied and said that some of their consoles have been refurbished, but when like some of these like tech YouTubers get a hold of their products, the products are old and discolored or falling apart or just not functioning and they need to be refurbished, but it was sold as a refurbished item. So they've been getting a lot of negative attention.
they hike up the prices on a lot of their equipment.
They sell wild expensive shit.
What's the name of that place again?
There's DK Oldies.
Gotcha.
Johnny about to look
all right, Johnny B.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening to this little overview of the 3DS here on the Paradise podcast, because talking about anime and video games is paradise for us. So if you have listened all the way to the end of the podcast and you're listening to me talk shit right now, we love and appreciate you very, very, very much. Crispin is happy to be here, even though he is late. Look, he's excited.
Shout out to Boji, man. If you haven't watched it, watch Ranking of Kings Season 2. Oh, I don't know if it's Season 2, but the next story comes out this month.
All that. What you also need to see is the rest of the episodes on the podcast. They are available on our YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to. If you are already not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can like this video because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what your favorite 3DS or Wii U games were. How do you feel about emulation? Is it fair? Is it immoral? Is it okay to do in certain situations? Never okay to do no matter what? Let us know. Share this video with friends and family that are interested in anime and video game topics like this one. This is what we talk about on Paradise Podcast. And you can also listen to this podcast. Oh, he's gone to the social media. We're going to do social media first. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. The Paradise TV, it's written down there below. And then you can also listen to the audio of this podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for podcasters. We are everywhere you would consume a podcast. Consume this podcast any way you like. We don't care, but we appreciate it equally. And if you're listening to us on Spotify for podcasters, you can also donate to the podcast, which is really helpful to us. And we would appreciate that. And you would be helping improve the quality of the podcast. And that is just such an admirable thing to do. You would be like a hero of your own anime. Just think about it.
I can be a hero, baby.
And on that note,
we're getting the fuck out of here.
I can wish away the pain. Oh yeah. I can stand by it forever.
All right, I didn't expect you to know the whole song.
You can take my breath away.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Crispin.
Nah, that's my shit back in the day. Don't even talk. Wait, who was that? That was Enrique Iglesias. Yeah,
Enrique Iglesias. You know what I mean? Enrique Church, nigga.
Enrique Church. Man.
Yeah.
That is what his last name is.
It's literally his last
Peace out, guys.
What a monkey.
Paradise Crossfire.